I was almost scammed by a fake book club. So let me tell you what happened. Fair warning, my two cats are up here and are starting to play, so you might hear some noise in the background. For some context, I have been self publishing short nonfiction books since 2012. I have one longer nonfiction book, which is my memoir, but all of my other books have been what I've called mini books. So I'm fairly familiar with the whole self publishing process. I've sold them on Amazon and other platforms, including my own website, for many years now. And as an independent publisher, I have not had the budget for things like ads or big promotional campaigns or anything like that. So, for the most part, I have done little bits of promotion on my own with my email list subscribers who I love so much and other people in my community. And I've let the Amazon platform, for example, show the book to people who might be interested in it. I have never thought of my books as big money makers because frankly they haven't been. Although in years past they used to bring in a significant amount of money each month, several $100s. That changed when Amazon decided to give, I guess, more space to paid ads. But in any case, they have actually made me a lot of money because most of my clients over the years, I've been a coach now for 10 years, have found me through my books. And so they have brought in money and they have made a tremendously positive impact on people's lives. They've also been a huge part of my own life, a big vehicle for self expression of the things that I want to share with people. As I'm recording this, a few days ago, I received an email from someone who said that she was the book manager for a major book club. And she had found one of my books and she wrote me a very nice email saying what she liked about it and that she was considering putting it forward as a pick for this book club. Now, I was surprised because the book in question was one that I had just published a couple of months ago. And I hadn't done any promotion for it at all because I ended up going away on a trip and then I was unwell for about 5 or 6 weeks. And so I thought, I do want to do some promotion of this book, but it'll have to wait until summer. So I thought, how did she even find this book? And I was skeptical, like most people would be. I wasn't sure if this was legitimate. I have good spidey sense about these things. And so I looked her up and she was who she says she is. She is the book manager for this book club. And at first, everything looked pretty legitimate to me. Now, one question people have asked was what was the email address that she sent the message from? And it was not a domain name email. It wasn't like so and so at blah, blah, blah.com. But that didn't even really raise any big red flags for me because I have gotten a lot of emails from people lately who work for someone else. I know that they do. And they use a personal email address. I've seen this a lot, especially if the person is not full time. Maybe they're some sort of independent contractor. So even that didn't really raise any alarm bells for me. So obviously, I was pretty happy that someone had chosen my latest book called It's Not Too Late to Want Everything as a potential book pick for this book club. I also thought it was interesting because I thought that this book club only featured published writers, meaning a traditional publisher. But I thought, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe they are looking at some independent authors like myself. Maybe they're trying to branch out. I don't know. So I did reply and say, yes, I'm interested. What do I need to do? She had mentioned that she had hoped the book would have a handful of reviews. And since I hadn't done any promotion for this particular book, It's Not Too Late to Want Everything, I reached out to my community to help me out. I knew that some of them had bought the book, so I asked those who had to please write a review. And then I invited other people to buy the book for $2.99 US and share a review if they enjoyed reading the book. So I reached out to all of the people that I could think of. I put some posts on social media, and I got a really lovely response, which was very heartwarming and just made me feel like people do appreciate me. It was so great. What raised an alarm bell was what came through on the next reply, which was that I was being asked to create something called a literary glimpse, which I had never heard of before. I had no idea what this was. So, of course, I Googled it and I only found one potential example, which was an author speaking about his book on camera for a few minutes, basically talking about the genesis of the book, the idea, all that. And I thought, well, maybe that's what they want. I'm not really clear. So I wrote back and asked what it was. And the reply was that it was essentially a book trailer, like a movie trailer, except for your book. Now, here comes the part that really set me wondering about all of this. The person said, basically, I'm summarizing, if you don't know how to create one of these, here is our media manager and he can help you do this, and provided an email for me. And I thought, that does not sound right at all. So here is what I think the scam actually is. The scam is, of course, that you pay this person to create this fancy schmancy book trailer. Goodness knows how much they would charge for something like that. And then, of course, it has no purpose other than you paid them to make this book trailer. I actually was pretty upset when I realized that this was a scam, mostly because I had involved my own community in this fiasco. That was upsetting to me. In fact, I'm getting a little teary eyed thinking about it because I certainly did not intend for that to happen. And I guess on the plus side, I did find out how much people care about me, which was lovely. And if they did decide to buy the book, I know it was something valuable. So, all in all, no real harm done there. But obviously, when you're an independent author, you don't get many accolades for your books on a routine basis. That just doesn't really happen. And so, to have the idea that maybe one of my books, after I don't know how many I've written and published online now, 15, 16, I don't know, more than that. After all this time, it felt like someone out there was seeing my contributions in a way that was different from the lovely people who have bought and read and written reviews over all of these years, all of whom I have appreciated. So, I guess for me personally, it was a good lesson, obviously, in what is most important here. What am I actually doing this for? And also, it was a good lesson in that you can still be taken in by these scams pretty easily. People look legitimate. What I did do after all of this was I found the real person, because I believe she's being impersonated in this email. I'm not going to say anything about the identity of who this is or the company or anything. I did reach out to her on Threads and I told her that I think she's being impersonated. So I hope that she sees that message. But in any case, this was a scam. This is a scam. I have not done any research on my own to see how prevalent this is, but all things considered, this is a pretty smarmy scam to try to take advantage of the emotions of independent authors like me.